All right, and welcome everyone to another edition of the FTW podcast. FTW is a weekly WWE and TNA discussion where fans talk the wrestling world in all of its laughable glory. This is episode 224, recorded live on July 22nd, 2014 on FTWLive.com. Tonight, we're going to recap and react to last Sunday's WWE Battleground, as well as looking forward to how WWE started the road towards Summerslam. And the six-sided ring is back. How did it affect the show? We'll talk about that and more as we cover the rest of the week that was in WWE and TNA. With us tonight is Nick. Say hello, Nick.
What's up?
And Joe. Say hello, Joe.
What in the butt? Well, what in the butt?
That's that used to be my jam. We're gonna have Harrison on potentially later on. He's having some internet issues, so we'll see. But my name is Garvin. I'll be moderating tonight's conversation. If you're listening live, make sure to say hi and leave your thoughts in the comments as we begin tonight's conversation. If you're watching on YouTube, leave a like. On Twitter, use the hashtag FTWLive and hashtag AskFTW.
You know, I think LeBron took the internet when he left Florida, so that's why Harrison's screwed over now.
Well, they don't need it anymore. It's not like they have anything to tweet about.
I mean, it's just old people down there, right?
And Flo Rida, apparently.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right, so Battleground happened. I don't know if you guys knew, but it happened. And we went in with the idea, well, at least there was the initial expectation that it was going to suck. It had the filler feel to it, where it was just going to happen and whatever. But when we came out of our conversation last week, I think we were all pretty positive about it, optimistic that, it would build up SummerSlam pretty well. Now, I know there's some people who are anti that. Lee, obviously, is anti everything, but he didn't think that Battleground was good and shouldn't build up another pay-per-view. You shouldn't use your pay-per-views to build up other pay-per-views, that sort of thing. So, anyways, we're looking at positives. Real quick, before we run down the card and the match results, just initial thoughts. Did you think it was a good pay-per-view? Did you enjoy it? Did you find it entertaining? All that good stuff, Joe.
Yeah, I did. I thought there was a lot of good action in there. I mean, I'm not going to pick out anything. I guess because of the tag team match, I thought was fantastic. So I think that was the shining star of the whole thing. But yeah, I think it was a decent. It was a solid pay-per-view up until the end. There are things that change, but
sure. Nick, what about you?
I'm actually a little more in line with Lee than I'm comfortable admitting here. I felt pretty meh about the pay-per-view overall. There were definitely very, very bright spots, like the tag team match. I thought the Battle Royal was excellent. But there were other matches that I just wasn't excited about, like Jericho versus Wyatt. The Divas title match I thought wasn't as good as I was hoping for. But then that could just be me placing incredibly high expectations that maybe they just weren't going to meet. And the main event for the world title, I thought it was throwaway going into it, and it felt throwaway. I'm not disappointed by the result. In fact, I thought that was what was going to happen to begin with. It's just, look at the makeup of the match, and we got what we should have expected, really. But overall, I think it was an okay pay-per-view overall.
Yeah, as far as like the Divas and stuff, yeah, I think maybe we did put too high of an expectation on AJ versus Paige, especially because I think we all knew going in that this wasn't going to be the final match. This was just going to be the introduction to the next round of their feud. So, but yeah, it just felt off overall. I will agree with you just on it being an okay pay-per-view. I enjoyed parts of it. I definitely enjoyed despite the fact, and this is one of the negatives that the live chat are talking about. They took off Ambrose versus Rollins, which totally would have been the match of the night. I think it would have stolen the show. But I was okay with it. I was okay that it wasn't there because I knew it was going to happen at SummerSlam. For one, and for two, they still told a good story with it. They allowed them to still have that brawl, still get their hands on one another, and I thought it was great. So I'm okay. I'm okay with that match being taken off. But let's just run down the card. Results real quick. Cameron defeated Naomi. Rusev defeated Jack Swagger via countout. Rollins defeaed Ambrose. If you technically, if you count how they announced that, but it was by forfeit or whatever, however you want to call it. Jericho defeated Bray Wyatt cleanly. AJ Lee defeated Paige. Usos retained. The Miz is your Intercontinental Champion, and of course John Cena is your World Heavyweight Champion. So, yeah, I think a lot of people are now saying this was a predictable pay-per-view, but I'm looking at how we predicted.
And it wasn't.
It's not. It totally wasn't. I think the surprise of the night for me was Miz winning. I was not expecting that. I was definitely expecting Cesaro.
Obviously.
I would have been okay with Sheamus, but Miz, I was not ready for that. As it wasn't a good surprise.
I wouldn't have been okay with Sheamus. I'm actually happy with The Miz.
Yeah, I'm okay with Miz too. I really wasn't expecting it, just given the way the WWE completely mishandled his return. I thought that was indicative of how they're going to handle him for the rest of his stay until he got shipped off for the Marine 5. But it makes a lot of sense. He has the potential to be a great title holder, just with the magnitude of the smugness that he brings. And I'm very interested in seeing Ziggler make him pay for screwing him over. On Raw, when they faced off, that was an excellent match. And I think they put on great matches just about any time they get in the ring. They just work really well together.
Yeah, and I'm going down the rest of the card, just trying to remember how I feel about every match. Overall, I think Diva Jill says it best in the live chat. She's saying, that it wasn't a bad show, it wasn't a bad card. It seems like WWE went the safe route with a few of these things,
Yeah,
and some of these matches really came off awkwardly. So, let's dive right into AJ Lee versus Paige. Nowhere near the chemistry that we thought that they would have had.
I think that's pretty much due to AJ just coming back. She hasn't had much time to work with Paige. Paige has been in the ring continuously, so they haven't had a whole lot to do outside of that one match. Technically the two matches, but the one match since she's been back.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Joe. It's just a matter of once they start working together more and start getting a feel for each other, how they work, build up that chemistry, I think we're going to get much better matches that we'd expect out of two wrestlers of their caliber.
Totally. Yeah, I'm looking forward to SummerSlam for what they're going to do.
And I think some of it might be the fact that their characters, as they went in, with Paige trying to hold up that illusion of friendly competition. I think now that we're getting the brutal heel side of her, I think that's going to be a much more interesting lead into the match at SummerSlam.
Agreed.
Yeah, I definitely like where we are today versus how we were Sunday after this match. But we'll get into Raw. Match of the night for me, Usos versus the Wyatt family. I thought that was fantastic. So many false finishes. It definitely had me really into this match. I'm totally surprised for the ending, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I think my match of the night would have to be the Battle Royal. There was a lot of spots in there that I popped huge for. There was the typical Kofi spots for whenever there's a Rumble or Battle Royal. I thought it was great how he basically was fighting for Big E's shoulders on the outside, and there were so many moments where he was about to take out Cesaro. I was just no, 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 no. And every time Cesaro gets back in the ring, oh, thank God. And that final moment when Heath Slater, that ginger son of a bitch, knocked him out, I was just, I was flipping out so hard. I didn't expect Slater to make it that far in that match either.
No.
He made it to the final 5.
Maybe that's the sign that they might actually do something with him.
Yeah, there's been a lot of rumors, and to be the guy that took out Cesaro would be a nice thing to step on. However, Monday morning quarterback, or actually Tuesday morning quarterback, they didn't do that on Raw, so who knows? But I'd be into it if they did.
Yeah, if nothing else, I would expect a bigger push in the mid card, which I definitely would not say no to.
Yeah. Another match that got a lot of praise actually was Jack Swagger versus Rusev. The count-out win for Rusev was a bit surprising. Safe for sure. Obviously, they're gonna let this simmer down probably a little bit as far as the storyline goes. A lot of flack happening, unwarranted flack, but still. As far as the whole Russian USA storyline, but this definitely has a lot of potential for SummerSlam, I think. And I know that was a question that we got a lot. LuTube wins, of course, also sent in that Ask FTW last week about should Jack Swagger and Rusev extend to SummerSlam, and after watching it at Battleground, I think they totally have to. I think that totally has to continue. What about you guys?
I thought that was a really good way to finish that match, especially if they're extending to SummerSlam, because Swagger got knocked out, and he wasn't definitively beaten. Obviously it was a countout.
Mm-hmm.
And if Swagger had been conscious when Rusev put him in the accolade, I think that would have been a bad move. But since it was obviously having no effect on Swagger, given that he couldn't feel a thing, I think that was safe to do. Just the usual display of dominance from Rusev, but it felt kind of hollow just because Swagger was no-selling it, and the way Rusev got up afterward, clearly he was hurting. So
Yeah.
I would have to forecast a win for Swagger at SummerSlam, just given the way Rusev's completely on his heels at the moment.
I'd agree. I mean, the fact, like Nick said, the fact that Swagger got knocked out, it wasn't, it was count out. It's a count out win. That's not enough to end a feud here. I think that we're going to see a better battle at SummerSlam. I don't know if they're going to gimmick it, but it should be a good match. I think Swagger he'll definitely get the pinfall, and I think they're going to call it at that point. And it's not like they're going to wait for the Great American Bash.
Yeah, I think they definitely have one more match in them. SummerSlam seems to be it. Submission match, I think, would make sense, knowing that Rusev was still selling the injury to his ankle on Raw. So yeah, I think overall this is I think this is a good situation, a good little feud that they've got going. So hopefully they WWE doesn't bow down to the very small, loud minority that's out there that wants them to end this. But yeah, overall, I think this is going to be good. So Jericho versus Bray Wyatt. Many were disappointed with it, but I'm not sure if they were disappointed with it just because Jericho won cleanly or because of the match itself. So I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. Joe, did you like this match or no?
It was a good match. I wasn't happy with the ending because I don't like seeing Bray lose at pay-per-views. I don't like seeing Bray lose at all. I think he's got a lot of character. He's got a lot. He's a great worker. He's been proving that. He's a fantastic worker, and I think he needs a win. He needs to be built A little more. He needs more wins, is what he needs from credible guys, and Jericho's an extremely credible guy. I think they even touch on the fact that he was the first undisputed champion. So, if Bray's going to win, if they happen to give him that win, then yeah, it's going to build him to be better and more legit when they do want to use him in, say, in the main event picture. But I think the match worked well.
See, I don't think the match was that great. I felt like Jericho was showing some ring rust in there, and there was one botch that I noticed. It was the code breaker that ended the match. He did not connect with that very well at all.
He doesn't. He rarely connects well with that.
Yeah, maybe I'm misremembering some Jericho history since he's rarely around anymore, and I'm just not remembering. But I can't remember the last time he did it that badly.
Gotcha.
It's just not. It's not sitting right with me, this whole feud. I don't see why Jericho has to go over. He's in the same role that the Legends should be in. They should be building up these future top names like Bray Wyatt. And that's just not what's happening. It kind of went back the other way on Raw when Bray took him out, but Bray should be getting wins at pay-per-views, not getting the scraps for the night after. So I really don't like the way they're handling this feud thus far.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as far as wanting to see Bray get over, especially on these big matches. Because he really wasn't given that opportunity before. Jericho seemed to be like that guy who was going to put him over. But this was Jericho's first match back. You have to build some credibility with him. Yeah, he comes with a shit ton, but, you still have to make him relevant now. You can't just have him come, at least in my perspective and seemingly how they book this, you can't just have Jericho come back and lose in his first major match. Especially if they're going to have him for a few months, which it seems like they're going to. So if this is to build to SummerSlam when we get Bray versus Jericho again, which it seems like that's what we're going to get, then that's when you have Jericho fall.
And that's another way I think they mishandled this, is that Jericho hasn't wrestled till Battleground. I think they should have put him in a few matches and given him wins, or at the very least, make it so that Bray cost him those wins. He should have been in more matches so that there wouldn't have been this pressure to have him win his first match at the pay-per-view and cost Bray a pay-per-view win.
Sure. And I see that, but also think of, the story that seems to be being told right now, which is, both, everyone in the Wyatt family lost at Battleground. They were, both of those matches, the Wyatt family were the favorites going in, and they lost. This week on Raw, they were angry and went after Jericho in the back, and I think this actually does lead into something nice, which is a much more fierce Bray Wyatt and Wyatt family, which would be good. I think that would be great for their story.
I hope it will. I don't think the Wyatts should have been in the position that they were going into Battleground, because the Wyatts have been going after the Usos for forever, and they've been losing every time. I can't remember the last time Harper and Rowan won a pay-per-view match.
Right, and that's the thing. And we've said the same thing about the whole Ryback push, where Ryback won all of these matches on Raw, SmackDown, wherever he was, except for pay-per-views. He could never win the pay-per-view match. So yeah, I could totally see the same thing. But I think as long as the crowd continues to support them, I don't think a loss here will necessarily hurt the character standing.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so yeah, that was Jericho, Bray Wyatt, a little bit of Usos and Wyatt family there as well. I guess that really only leaves us one more match. We're not going to talk about Naomi versus Cameron. That was awful. Let's instead talk about John Cena versus Orton versus Kane versus Roman Reigns, your main event, Cena won. LOL. This was the right move, right?
I'm sorry, I'm having a stroke. Uh, this was a terrible move. I mean, knowing where they were going with it, yes, it was a fine move. It just, I mean, we knew Kane wasn't going to win. Randy Orton had a shot. Obviously, Cena had a shot. Did Reigns have a shot? Did you guys think so? I actually did.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, just because they're in the match. I mean, obviously, I picked Reigns, so I thought
Right.
he'd have a shot. But fucking A, I could have done without the leap of joy after the pin. Like he jumped up like he had never won the title before, and he's a 5-year-old kid. No, that was terrible. That was so freaking stupid. To me, that was insulting. Super stupid. I mean, come on, that's just stupid. He should not have done that. Never. I mean, I get, grabbing the title, hitting the ring post, maybe a fist pump or something, or, going to the crowd and doing the "you can't see me," but the wee.
Where would you rank this as far as him winning and his reaction to winning? Where would you rank this moment compared to when he won Money in the Bank?
You mean where he looked like an idiot? This is stupider. This is so much more worse. To me personally. Like, I look at this thing and I'm like, I mean, oops, it fell down, it came off. Ooh, like, okay, like, that one I get because maybe it wasn't he was supposed to do some more working and it came off, and he's like, oh, shit, yeah, but this, whee! I mean, like, he was expecting, like, the freeze frame from the
anime. Cena definitely knows how to throw salt in the wound, for sure.
What a cock.
I'll give you that. But as far as the Roman Reigns bit, yeah, I thought the way they told the story in the ring, it felt like Roman Reigns got over pretty well. Considering the loss, yeah. I still think there's a bright future for Roman Reigns, and you guys know why I predicted what I predicted. Same thing for Nick and Harrison and Scott, but the same. It's just a matter of, I like Cena versus Brock Lesnar better than I would have liked Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. I think this is a better fit.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially since it's almost a guarantee that Lesnar is going to walk out of SummerSlam as champ. It would have been a travesty to just sacrifice Roman Reigns on the altar of Lesnar. And I think this match at Battleground was a good way to build Reigns toward being seriously taken as a top guy. But right now, he's just not on that same level. Yeah. He's not even on Kane's level, really, in terms of hierarchy. He has all the potential in the world to get there, and I think he will at some point down the road, but it's just too soon after the Shield for him to be really in serious contention for the title, I think.
Yeah, and for us, while it is incredibly easy to hop on they gave the title to Cena again, why? That is so awful, and harp on that whole thing, but just looking at how things were booked on Monday, and where it appears that they're going. I mean, to me, this is the better story, despite Roman Reigns kind of getting the short end of the stick at Battleground.
Yeah, and you can't blame the WWE for going this way either. The only guys up at the top that really could hold this belt are Cena and Orton. I don't think there's really anybody else in the company that would carry that the way they can. Our guys, quote unquote, that could, Punk and Bryan, they're not here right now. But Punk he's doing what he's doing. Bryan's injured. The guys that we could see do that, like Cesaro or Sami Zayn or whoever, they're not on that level yet. So, I mean, again, you can't blame the WWE for going this way.
Yeah, and while putting the title on Roman Reigns in this spot would definitely put him into that level for sure. Like initially, it still doesn't like. It's still not a good story, and that's one thing we have to consider is that as far as the story goes, Roman Reigns needs a little bit more time to really get over with the crowd and get some wins over the rest of the guys that are in the in that main event title race.
Yeah, and realistically, he's got some development to do before he can do that title reign justice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it would be cool to see, wouldn't it?
No, it would for sure.
Yeah.
I'll give it. I'm with you.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about our picks. As you guys know, we pick every pay-per-view, and here's where we stand for this week for Battleground. Joe, you got one pick correct, so congratulations.
Fuck.
Nick, you got two, so good job on you.
Whee!
And I am considering Rollins as winner for those picks because that's how they announced it.
That's official.
No, that's a win.
Yeah. Harrison got 3 picks, correct? Scott, who has not been on the show with us for a while but still throws his picks in, got 4, and that was tied with me. I also got 4, so feeling pretty good about that.
I think I'm going to have to start picking against the Wyatts from this point onward.
Yeah. Agreed. I mean, Wyatt family is where I went wrong. Naomi was the other one I went wrong. Cesaro, obviously, was the third match that I picked wrong. So,
yeah, I've been picking the Wyatts for like the past 3 pay-per-views straight, and I think they've lost all 3 times. So.
All right, so that takes our totals to Harrison. You've got 12. Kevin has 13. Scott has 24. Joe has 24 as well. Nick, you're at 29, and I'm at the top with 33.
Ooh, I'm the one who creates the spreadsheet. I'm the one who's winning. Oh.
King Booker, man. That's what I am.
Beard.
Well, at least he's able to keep track, so that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can math.
Yeah, I can math a little. Actually, if you watch my latest Minecraft video, you'll see I can't math very well. At least not in my head. Need that calculator. All right, so let's talk about Raw. A lot of stuff happened. Actually, before we get into Raw, I do want to dip into a little bit of a conversation with you guys. Last week we talked about whether or not Cesaro could survive without Heyman. Because there was the rumor that Heyman and Cesaro were no longer a thing. We all think that he could, but looking at Ryback, Curtis Axel, and now Cesaro, none of these guys have really done any better with Heyman than they were doing before or after Heyman. So is being a Paul Heyman guy not really that great of a title anymore? Like, does that only work for Brock Lesnar and Punk? And I know I'm not the only one, talking about this. James Hornsby from BotchSpot, you guys know him. He tweeted, "Love Heyman, but being a Heyman guy seems to be the same as being world champ. If you're over, it's great, but if you're not, it's meaningless." So, what do you guys think now about this topic?
I think it's way too early to put Cesaro in the same boat as Ryback and Axel, because he just last night said he was no longer a Heyman guy. And at the same time, he's not being dropped by Heyman. He jumped ship from Heyman to the Authority. And I think that's going to pay off fairly well. And on another level, Cesaro is definitely not in Ryback's boat, because Cesaro is still over. The point at which Ryback and Axel got dropped, their stock was already sinking. Like, sinking fast. And they're only just now starting to recover from it a little bit. So, yeah, he didn't really ascend to great new heights with Heyman, but his star definitely did rise a little bit. He got the King of Swing moniker out of it, and he definitely got more popular with the crowd just by association, just by being seen with Heyman. So, I definitely see where James is coming from. It's it's a mostly accurate statement, but I think it's too soon to see whether it's foolproof with Cesaro or not.
Harrison, what about you?
I don't think Harrison has audio. He's got video, but no audio.
Okay.
So, to jump in here, yeah, I mean, maybe the Heyman guy thing only works for guys when they're winning, because Cesaro didn't win when he was with Paul Heyman. He had a good streak. We had hype, but and he did a lot of talking. He was forceful, but he never did get the win. There was always a DQ or a distraction, and he lost. So, I mean, if he's no longer a Paul Heyman guy, I mean, let's be honest. The only guy who is truly a Paul Heyman guy is Lesnar. Because Lesnar won't come back for Punk. I mean, not Lesnar. Heyman won't come back for Punk. I think because Punk can talk on his own. Lesnar can't. He goes, yeah! And, we've seen the music videos where he sings his own theme song.
Those are awesome.
The only thing Brock Lesnar ever said on the microphone that was actually good was, Paul, tell him something stupid.
Say something stupid.
Or say something stupid, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, I don't know if I agree with you as far as, Lesnar is the only true Paul Heyman guy. I mean, Punk was the guy who made that popular, as far as that tagline. So you have to imagine Punk is a legit Paul Heyman guy as well.
Well, by that logic, then Kennedy is the greatest Money in the Bank winner of all time because he came up with Mr. Money in the Bank.
He did. It's true.
And hopefully I get internet long enough that I can say a follow-up to that and not just say one thing and then drop off the face of the earth.
Help me out. Was he the first one, though?
Yeah.
What?
Right,
no.
No?
Kennedy was not the first Money in the Bank winner.
No, but he was the first.
But he was the first one called Mr. Money in the Bank because he was Mr. Kennedy.
Yeah, so and he's the one who, after he won it, and the promo said, "I'm Mr. Money in the Bank."
Yeah.
I don't know how this is helping this conversation, but
proving you wrong.
But I will say, I will say that I'm starting to wonder though, like because we all look at Heyman as being like the man. He can put anyone on the map, even if they can put themselves on the map. He can put them over even more. Whether it's him on creative or him on commentary or him being the manager, you always hear good things about being attached to Paul Heyman. At least in WWE days, not ECW days. But so I'm curious, what this really means for Paul Heyman, because yeah, we can't say Cesaro is comparable to Ryback and Curtis Axel. Ryback and Curtis Axel were on the way down, like you said, Nick, before they hooked up with Heyman. Heyman didn't help them at all, and Cesaro seemed to be on the up, and just kind of plateaued as soon as he got with Heyman. Heyman barely even talked about him. So yeah,
that's because
Cesaro,
the Undertaker broke the streak.
Lesnar broke the streak.
Yeah. I'm having the tarded today.
So I don't know, man. I wanna think this theory is incorrect, and that Heyman can still put new guys on the map and make things happen. But the track record so far, post Punk and post Brock Lesnar, it doesn't seem like he's doing much. He's still a fantastic guy on the mic. I love every segment that he's in and every promo that he puts on, but for some reason that just doesn't translate to whoever he's with, for whatever reason. So, anyways. All right, let's talk about Raw, man. Raw, a lot of mixed reactions overall. So, I enjoyed it quite a bit. but I know there are many people out there that didn't enjoy it. So let's just talk about the things that we thought were great or amazing or whatever your tag you want to put on it. First of all, Paige. I want to talk. Okay, Paige and AJ. I want to talk about two different things. So first we saw the pairing. It was Paige and AJ versus Natalya and Emma. After the match, though, Paige turned on AJ. So to me, there was quite a few positives here as far as what took place. First, how awesome is this title race that we've got right now? Seemingly, Natalya, Emma, AJ, and Paige all up as your top four. The second thing is how awesome is it that we're finally going to get the Paige that we expected when she debuted. So let's start with Nick.
I'm excited for a couple of different reasons. First of all, I'm extremely happy that Emma is finally wrestling. And it looks like she's getting back to the character she was in NXT. It's not just the derpy blonde, it's also the derpy blonde that can wrestle like a madman. So I'm happy on that count. As far as Paige goes, I like Paige as a heel, and it looks like she's going to be an exceptionally brutal one. So this really should take the feud with AJ to the next level. Is that it?
No, I'm sorry, Nick. I agree, but by next level you mean a level, right? Because so far we've had the Paige and AJ Happy Fun Time hour, and for the life of me, if they play this off like AJ didn't know this was coming, holy crap, this is gonna suck. Because I was hoping that it was both of them were basically playing the same game, but Paige was smart enough to pull the trigger first. If they played that angle, then this could be interesting. If they play the I legitimately thought you were my friend, it's like no, she's AJ. The character AJ Lee has shown that she is not an idiot. She's weird, yes, diabolical, yes. She is not an idiot. In fact, she is the opposite of an idiot. So how could she not see this coming? So regardless, Nick, you're right, and this is coming to a level that we all have been anticipating and looking forward to. My thing is, though, man, it really sets the stage for an awesome match at SummerSlam, and I hope they get some kind of cool stipulation with it. I hope it's not just a straight match. I mean, why not do something interesting with it, Why not do false count anywhere or best out of 3? They're kind of busting out these old school stipulations, so why not, take some... Why not do an Iron Man match? Tell me you wouldn't want to see a 60-minute match between these two.
That'd definitely be fun. I think the logical stipulation would be a submission match.
Ooh.
Given the arsenals that those two have.
Yes. And that would be interesting because we've never seen anybody break out of the Black Widow.
I would love to see
that one time that AJ didn't get it was against Paige, and then it wasn't fully locked in. So
yeah. Well, we've never seen AJ get the Black Widow in, and anybody either escape, get to the ropes, or anything but just hold off and tap out.
Yeah.
I thought she almost lost it last night, but ended up getting the win with it.
While I do agree that a submission match does make sense, I mean, we're also saying the same thing about Rusev and Swagger. You can't necessarily have two submission matches. So real quick, which submission match would you prefer if SummerSlam is where both these matches are going to happen?
I'd rather AJ and Paige get submission match. Make Rusev and Swagger an I Quit match.
And see, I'm sitting there going, I want to see Paige and AJ in a ladder match.
Oh, that's right. I do remember you saying that.
That would also be awesome.
A ladder match? What would they go for the belts? Just hang the belt up?
Yeah, like any other ladder match.
Well, no, I don't know. Money in the Bank has kind of spoiled me, where it's like, you put a ladder match, we're going to put your belt up on a ladder match. Why? Because we can put a stipulation on this. It's like, I don't know, it feels kind of baked. I'd rather have something that has something to do with the storyline. So that's why I like Nick's idea of a submission match.
Yeah, and I think, like I said about the logical stipulations, where I think a submission match makes more sense story-wise than a ladder match, whereas I think an I Quit match makes more sense story-wise than just a regular submission match with Rusev and Swagger. You could still get the submissions in there, I think it just if you're going for a feud ender, an I Quit match is a logical stipulation.
That's a valid point.
True that. So, anyways, yeah, I'm really digging where this Divas division is right now. You know, eventually you'll probably see Naomi jump up there, and I think she would fit well. And I really can't wait to see like who the next NXT women's wrestler is that's going to be called up. I think there is a definite bright future here for sure.
Yeah, I think it's one of the brightest things that WWE has going for them with the development center.
Right.
It's a women's division.
All right, so obviously there's a couple different Diva storylines happening right now. We've got the one involving the title, which is isolated. Then you've got Naomi versus Cameron, which is it's doing its own thing. You've got Layla and Summer Rae doing whatever they're doing right now. And then another story that has been slowly building for a while, but seems to have hit that big that big cross section where we're going to finally find out how they're going to be moving forward. Are the rumors true that Stephanie McMahon is going to fight in a match at SummerSlam? That seems to be the way that they're going. But before we get into that, do you guys think the arrest of Stephanie McMahon was the best work that Stephanie has done since returning to TV?
I think that is a valid statement. That being said, that gaping hole that used to be her chest is quite disgusting. God, why? Get the boob job, and then you work out like a freak, and you get that weird space of just like
Kofi
rib.
Kingston has it.
Kofi Kingston.
He's got something. No, he's got something else going on there.
Chris Jericho.
I think they said like they built armor or something and put it into his chest. Fucking Kofi got a weird fucking hole in his chest.
Yeah, there's a few wrestlers who have are having some issues as
Kofi,
far as
I
that
think,
goes.
is
But
natural. He's just weirdly proportioned all over the place. Gigantic biceps and make his hands look tiny.
yeah. So, anyone else? Anyone else want to talk about the whole arrest segment?
It's certainly the best acting job I think that Stephanie has done since she's been back. I don't know if I want to say it's the best work, just because she's had a few really good spots. As much as you can, I think she did okay with Vicky. I think she made the best out of the way that whole debacle was booked, and I think she made it more tolerable. Other times she's looked pretty good in segments with Daniel Bryan. She's had some moments that I think measure up to what she did here, but this has definitely been the best acting job by far.
Yeah, Triple H really dragged it down. That's how good I mean, Steph was carrying that thing entirely, and when Triple H came in, it was like, oh, this would be interesting. Oh, God damn, he's ruining this. And then when he's later on in the
hybrid
show,
car?
yeah, what the hell was that? It wasn't even a hybrid. I mean, if it was like an actual hybrid, sure, but it wasn't. It was just a Ford. It was a Ford Fusion. It wasn't even the hybrid model. It was just a Ford, and he's just driving away, and I'm like, it isn't a hybrid. Why the hell would you take? How could you tell? You were staring at the hood.
I just want to know how driving a hybrid car makes the police look that much worse. I mean, this is getting a whole nother discussion, but wouldn't you think that government cutting back and making the ecologically friendly option would be kind of a plus?
I know, right? They're in a lot of stop-and-go traffic. It makes sense for them to have a hybrid. It was just the dumbest comment ever. I mean, it's like, if you're going to play the erudite role, then don't slam him for having a hybrid. Slam him for driving something.
Yeah, it seemed like he was grasping at straws, trying to throw insults out there.
And he had nothing.
Yeah.
But that's how he rolls, you know?
Yeah. Stephanie did awesome, hands down. She did so well. And I think this because here's the thing: we needed to have somebody fill the Vince McMahon shoes, or the Vince McMahon role, I should say, on camera, and it's always been kind of a toss-up between Triple H, at least to me, between Triple H and Stephanie McMahon, and it was always McMahon for the name, Triple H for the experience. Lately, though, especially over the past like 3 or 4 months, Stephanie has just really, especially this feud with Brie. I know it's not. I mean, the feud with the Bellas. I know it's not the best thing in the world, but she's just kicking ass, and she's just getting so much better. She's starting to outclass Nikki and Brie right now. Nikki's holding her own. Nikki's the one that got fired, right?
No,
Brie.
Brie got fired.
Brie got fired.
Yeah.
Oh no, Brie quit.
They're the same. It doesn't matter.
God, no, the one that who slapped Stephanie last night? Was that Nikki or Brie? Brie. Okay, Brie's doing well. Nikki just looks lost in this entire feud.
That seems to be the That's my impression as well. I think
like,
Brie definitely standing out.
Did they tell her she was in this feud when she goes out there, or did they just send her out and say you're up, and she's like, okay, like she's like, what am I supposed to do? We're supposed to do your job. Oh, well, what about what? I mean, what? Why? I mean, she just looks so confused when she's out there.
I also think she's got a little bit of job security now that it doesn't matter.
I admit Nikki really makes the clueless blonde look really natural on her, but I think this is also part of the storyline. I think in character, Nikki's confused about where to go because while she knows Brie didn't leave because she was just leaving her sister out to dry, Stephanie keeps hammering home the point that Brie left her. So I've got to wonder if this is going to be going down the road where Nikki turns on Brie, where Stephanie gets to her.
Right, and that is the current rumor that's going around. Blue Cactor is in the live chat talking about it as well, about how I think we were all under this assumption that it was going to be Stephanie versus Brie at SummerSlam, despite us not really wanting to see that match. However, Brie versus Nikki is a little bit more interesting, and it makes sense, like you said, how this story is progressing. So, does everyone think that that's the direction that they're going to go? Where
It
it's
makes sense.
Nikki versus Brie?
They could. I just feel bad because Daniel Bryan's at home and his wife's working, and she's bringing home the bacon. And
why are you feeling bad? That's the dream, man. Do you have any idea how much I would give to let Emily go to work and I stay at home with the baby? All she does is text me pictures of how awesome her day is going while I'm working. I'm like, I'd trade this in for a minute. And I moved down here to do this job, Joe. I moved 1,200 miles to do this job. Hell yeah, I'll stay at the apartment with my kid.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, there's going to be a job on the line, so if she happens to lose, she gets fired. I mean, then they've got no income. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, fine. Well, that's a valid point.
I mean, this match would make a lot of sense. It also wouldn't be a bad one, I don't think. It would essentially be the Divas version of Daniel Bryan versus John Cena, because their styles are starting to mirror their husband/boyfriend a lot more. Am I the only one that sees it?
No,
you're good.
No, I think overall we're all on the same page.
Sweet.
All right, so last major thing that we want to talk about from Raw. I think it's happening, guys. How we were all talking like,
God,
oh man, what if they brought back Nation of Domination? They brought in like a new group, and you combine like all these people that we want to see pushed into like that kind of stable. What if, dude? They're freaking doing it, man. Xavier Woods came out, basically railed on Big E and Kofi, saying it's time for them to stop, just taking, not taking what is deserved to them, So basically, it seems like we're going to get that stable. We're going to get that big NOD style stable, and I'm totally stoked. There's also rumors that, Mark Henry could get involved, Titus O'Neil, maybe Darren Young when he returns. So a lot of cool things happening if this happens the way we're hoping it does, which is a heel turn for Kofi. How fantastic is that going to be? Finally. To
get him to do something different, I am totally down with that.
Yeah, I'm I'm not as excited about heel Kofi as I am Xavier Woods finally realizing his potential. Like ever since they brought him up from NXT, he's just been jobbing either beside R-Truth or by himself. Now that he finally seems to be stepping up, and it looks like he's going to be the front man for this new group, I'm really excited. I mean, the man's a doctor. He should definitely be getting more than he already is.
He's going to get some.
Anything that gets Titus O'Neil in front of the camera is good. Get him on a mic. You know what? Get him to do Miz TV. Figure out a way around it. Because that segment was awesome. It solidified in my mind. Titus O'Neil's got it. He's got the speed. He's got the strength. He's got the mic work, and he can move a crowd. Which is just those are the big four. You don't need you. Other than support from the from WWE, you don't really need anything else. Nation of Domination, hell yes. And yeah, we've been talking about it for a while. I'm not going to get as enthusiastic as you, Garvin, until they sign Mark Henry. They bring Mark Henry on board with that thing, I am all over it. Because then it's got legs.
Well, sure, but where do you stop? I mean, you want Titus O'Neil and Mark Henry? What if they only go with the fourth thing?
Why are you only going with black guys?
If Mark...
There were white people in the nation.
Well, because...
We'll get to that in a second. Go ahead, continue, Anderson.
Joe, because we're not mentioning that, because when we do, you make a very crass joke about that man, and we don't want to do that.
What?
All right, well, since you're not going to finish your point, Harrison.
Okay, my point is, I love the idea of the Nation of Domination. I'm not going to say whether or not I believe it's happening. I'm not going to get as excited as you are with the legitimacy of it until Mark Henry gets on, because Mark Henry gives it, gives it legitimacy.
And it gives it, a veteran.
Yeah, the guy who was there the first time.
Been where they want to go. So,
let me just say one more thing.
Yeah.
If either Mark Henry or Titus O'Neil comes aboard, either way, they've got at least 3 guys that can do it all. Mark Henry can talk and he can wrestle. Titus O'Neil can talk and he can wrestle. Big E can talk and he can wrestle. And Xavier Woods, same thing. He can talk and he can wrestle. Kofi Kingston, he can wrestle. Maybe he can talk. It's been forever since he really talked on a mic that I can't remember anymore. But you've got at least 4 guys in that group, if Henry O'Neil joins, that can basically do it all. That is an amazing group. One that we haven't seen in forever.
Yeah, and I know we're assuming that it's going to be an NOD style where it's just black guys, right? So R-Truth is another name that's being thrown around, both
please no,
on Facebook and in the live chat, which I would be okay with. And he's another guy that can wrestle and can talk if they allow him to. So I think that's another name to consider. But real quick. Let's say they did do straight up NLD. Owen Hart played that token white guy in the group. Who would be your token white guy if that were to take place? Just one name.
Zack Ryder.
Nick?
Either Heath Slater or repackaged Johnny Curtis.
Harrison?
My brain completely fried on Heath Slater because there's nobody else on the planet who would be better in that role. my brain's like going through the WWE roster trying to go with the Nick drops Heath Slater. My brain just goes, nope, that's it. We're done. Check.
Yeah, that was totally mine as well.
That's fucking brilliant.
Okay, SummerSlam is coming up. We'll be previewing SummerSlam on Tuesday, August 12th, which is FTW224. So 3 episodes from this one. Currently, nothing has been officially booked as far as the website goes, but we do know we are going to get John Cena versus Brock Lesnar for the World Heavyweight Championship. We got that in a handshake, so there's, whatever. Take it for whatever. Also, possibilities: Jericho versus Bray Wyatt, Brie Bella versus Nikki Bella, Miz versus Dolph Ziggler for the IC, Roman Reigns versus Triple H is another match that seemingly has been leaked, I guess. Some weird video promos have been released by WWE accidentally. One was John Cena versus Brock Lesnar. Another one is Roman Reigns versus Triple H. I think it was on one of their magazines. So dumb. Okay, Usos versus whomever for the tag team titles. Maybe Wyatt family again. Who knows? AJ versus Paige again for the Divas Championship, and then Sheamus will defend the U.S. title. I would imagine. So that's SummerSlam. We'll talk a little bit more about that as we move forward. And real quick, 30 seconds apiece if you need it for these next 3 questions. We're going to do Harrison, Joe, Nick. That's going to be the order, okay? In an interview with 19 Action News here in Cleveland, CM Punk said he'd never, ever return to the squared circle again. So is this the last time we'll need to talk about Punk on the show, ever? Can we officially just take him off of our future topic list?
No, yes, we can for a year.
Yes, we can for a year. Okay, Harrison?
No, because he leads the views. Sorry.
Nick?
I'm going to say no. You watch the video, you can tell that's just an off-the-cuff answer, and he basically said right outright that is just to screw people, get people talking.
Shut up. I want to stop talking about this Punk guy. All right. Bo Dallas is a face now, right? He went up against Damian Sandow, got the face pop. He's a face now, right? Harrison?
I have no idea. I don't know what they're doing with this guy. It feels like his character needs to make that turn, and I don't know if that turn is going to end up with it being in a face or in a heel. His character needs the other shoe to drop, is what it needs, and it hasn't happened yet. So I guess he's a face now. I don't know. I think WWE right now is trying to figure out something to do with him.
Joe?
Pass.
Nick?
What?
No, I don't believe he's a face.
Okay. I don't know if I think he's a face either, but it was interesting that that's how they booked the match. It would be interesting if that's how they pushed it, just to, this being like a face guy that you cannot get behind as the guy that WWE is trying to make face. So kind of like the John Cena type character, but they're just putting the stick onto it. But I don't know what you're talking about, Harrison. He's totally over, and he's totally a good character. He doesn't need anything. Just needs to keep winning.
Sure.
He's undefeated, man. You got to believe.
Actually, Joe, real quick, Joe and I were in a bar with a few friends, and one guy who was there said, Bo Dallas is like 4 Stone Colds.
That is a direct quote from this guy.
Just let that simmer there. Okay. Last question. Zack Ryder with the win on Raw. Is this a sign of things to come? Harrison.
He's like 4 Stone Cold?
I'm still stuck on that too. What is that? 8 middle fingers to everybody? Is that what he's saying?
4 Stone Colds.
He is so good that he is better than 4 Stone Colds combined.
Stone Cold what?
Steve Austin.
Hey, we do a wrestling podcast. You know who Stone Cold Steve Austin is?
No, dude, they
He's
know.
the guy who's apparently giving Harrison a crap.
That's the better question, Garvin. Do they know who Steve Austin is?
Oh, this guy knows.
Yeah, and Bo Dallas is going to surpass him in every single way.
And
Okay.
Let's be honest, though. Bo Dallas is causing people to turn back to wrestling. Found that out the same bar.
Yeah. You might dislike Bo Dallas. You might not understand Bo Dallas, but Bo Dallas is striking a nerve with people that is getting people talking about wrestling that never talked about wrestling.
It's true.
It's an interesting character. It is hilarious, and yeah, it's not going away anytime soon, Harrison. Sorry.
What? I didn't say it should.
All right, let's move on.
You're like accusing me of being like
I am.
disparaging towards him.
The last 3 weeks has been nothing but anti-Bo Dallas talk from you. Just saying.
I feel like I'm being painted into. I feel like I'm being pranked right now. Is that what's going on? Are you guys outside my door? Are you gonna come running in here?
Why would we go? LeBron came up here. Why would we go down there now?
Yeah.
Because you want to. I don't know the weather.
It's too hot up here. Why would we want to go down there to be too hot?
It was like 98 today.
Damn.
It's like 80 something here. It's too hot.
Actually,
All right.
no, it was pretty comfortable today because it rained. Yeah. What are we talking about? Zack Ryder first win on Raw sign. I think.
No, we're gonna move on.
His first.
Let's
Well,
move
it was his first win in like 2 years, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I read
it's
that somewhere.
2012.
That's insane. His first win on Raw in 2 years. Anyway, yeah, we can move on. I just think that's wild.
Fun fact: Tommy Dreamer has had as many wins on Raw in the same time that Ryder has. He posted that on Twitter. I think it was last night.
Interesting.
Gotta love the Dreamer.
And it's weird because we all have like a soft spot in our heart for Tommy Dreamer. Something about him.
Yeah, he's right below the cockles.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Tommy Dreamer, let's move on. Talk some TNA. This week we got to see both the return of the six-sided ring as well as the super hyped up New York City crowd. What did you guys think about it? Nick?
I thought it was an amazing reaction. I've seen some people talking about how the callback to ECW was a bad idea, but I don't get that at all. I think TNA was smart in the way they constructed the card for that night, in that they capped both ends with things that the New York crowd would be eminently familiar with. They led with the ECW callbacks with Taz and Bully Ray and Dreamer, and they ended with two ex-WWE guys, Jeff Hardy and Lashley.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was the smartest move that TNA could have made. If Angle was healthy, I would have expected them to put him into one of those spots. Actually, they did. I think, as for the rest of the card, I think TNA was, or I think New York was pretty hot for most of it. The Knockouts match, the response was odd, because I got the feeling that they were kind of shitting on the women's match, as New York in the Northeast generally does. But I didn't really hear much come out, like, clearly. So it was hard for me to tell. But overall, I think they were excited about the show.
Yeah, I wasn't at this taping, despite Diva Joe accusing me of being one of the guys giving the Divas or the Knockouts crap. But yeah, I think overall we experienced the same thing as far as the Knockouts matches. Crowd got either quiet or just weren't necessarily involved in the match. And I didn't get it. I didn't get why. This match I thought was pretty good. I thought this was a new side of Brittany that we hadn't seen before, and I thought it was great. I like that they're giving her some depth. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's odd because both New York and Philly, you hear so many stories about how just outrageously sexist they are during women's matches, but at the same time, you've got indie promotions like Beyond Wrestling. When they have women's matches, the crowds are going nuts for it. And even in this Knockouts match, there were times when Madison Rayne would hit a move, and you would hear the crowd, or at least parts of it, get noticeably excited. Like that package DD, was it her finishing maneuver? I can't remember what it's called. But her finisher got a big response from the crowd. So I don't know what it is about those two venues.
Well, and I think we can't necessarily, just call it that. I mean, I think that's just generally how the crowd has been overall. Even the WWE side, even when we have good matches to watch, they just don't get the reaction that they deserve. So, totally with you there. But overall, though, I thought the New York crowd was great, super loud with everything. It was interesting to see how they mic'd Dixie in her in-ring monologue, and I'm curious how it will work when we hit the taping that I was at, just because the crowd was so incredibly loud that we couldn't hear anything that she said. So I'm wondering if that was the same scenario and she was just mic'd really well for it. But it was almost as if like they muted the crowd for it.
It might have been because she was. You could tell at certain points in her monologue that she was reacting to what the crowd was saying, and apparently they weren't saying very nice things at all.
No.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all to learn that they did kind of mute the crowd. The crowd was audible, but
Yeah.
you couldn't really hear what she was responding to.
Yeah. So, six-sided ring though. What'd you think about that?
It wasn't the game changer that TNA was kind of hyping it up as, but it was nice to see it back. And throughout the show, Taz and Tenay would talk about a couple of things that made it different, like how much faster you come off the ropes just because of they're shorter lengths of ropes, so they're tighter, and things like that. That it wasn't immediately obvious, but once they brought it up, you could kind of tell that was happening, especially during the X Division match.
Right.
So, yeah, overall, I think it was a good move for TNA. It definitely does set them apart, so that's always a plus.
Yeah, personally, I thought it was good. I think they struggle a little bit on the production side, just picking good angles to shoot it. You know, we got a lot of turnbuckle shots.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they can definitely improve on that side of things. But overall, yeah, I thought the matches were pretty solid. That were inside of the six-sided ring. It didn't seem like the six-sided ring hampered anyone. We didn't really see any less bumps than we normally got. Like we even like with the Hardy match specifically. I mean, he went above and beyond trying to take bumps both in the ring and out of the ring, and so yeah, I don't think it's got that negative feel to it that it seemed like everyone was trying to push onto it as far as the whole debate of whether or not TNA should do this to their wrestlers. It really seemed like everyone worked well with it. There was no slow match. There was no obvious botch because of the ring. It seemed like everyone adapted very well and very quickly.
Yep, I agree.
So, speaking of the whole ECW thing, as you introduced or you started talking about, we saw the team of Dreamer and Bully Ray. We've also got Rhino in there at the end of the night. Team 3D officially reunited with the return on Devon. So, while it's cool, I think, to do that for the New York crowd, because it is giving them that ECW kind of vibe. Do you think, are you cool with Team 3D in general being a thing again, especially after all of the storylines that we went through that split them apart?
Yeah, absolutely. TNA's been needing major presences in its tag division. You've got it with the Wolves, and you're starting to get it with Bram and Magnus, but there's not really a team there yet that could reproduce the kind of feuds that like Beer Money and Motor City Machine Gun had, or Motor City Machine Guns and Team 3D. Now that they're back in the mix, I think we could start getting that again with Team 3D and the Wolves. Or
right.
should Bram and Magnus really start taking off as a team, I think they would have a really good match with Bully and Devon as well. So, and as much history as Devon and Bully have with ECW, as much of that imagery that they evoke, we've talked about it before. They spent more time in TNA than any company they've worked in, really. So
right.
it's definitely a TNA tag team that they're bringing back.
I can agree. Yeah, overall, I mean, I kind of have a negative feel about it, just because they've done so much separately that I'm okay with Bully being Bully by himself. Like I don't think he necessarily needs Devon there, but it has been a while since they've been partners, especially in the tag theme thing. Like even in Aces and Eights, you didn't really see a lot of Bully and Devon teaming together. It was Devon in the U.S. or in the TV title race. Bully was in the world title race, and that was it. That was the gist of their partnership kind of thing. So, yeah, I guess overall I am okay with it. It is something where I do feel like that part of the story, like this whole thing, is EC3 and a bunch of older guys that probably don't have a lot of time left. And what I'm hoping is that they're not, partnering up EC3 with all of these veterans and not going to push EC3 because of it. Like I hope he gets good because of it.
Yeah, agreed. I think that is the end goal with, or at least one of the end goals with this, is to raise the stock of EC3. And that's really been his whole motif for about as long as he's been in here. Like facing off with Sting, facing off with Angle. Now he's going up against the veterans of ECW. In a lot of ways, actually, this build of his is kind of similar to Randy Orton's with his whole Legend Killer gimmick.
Right.
And hopefully he reaches the same kind of success that Orton did.
He definitely can. I think EC3 has it in him. He's great on the mic. He's great in the ring. I think he just needs that little more push, and he's there for sure. All right, so James Storm, Sonata, they're having some kind of weird feud. It's giving me some awkward vibes. What do you think about the whole James Storm versus Sonata? Where do you think this is going?
It might be a little early to tell. Personally, I'm leaning toward this being Sonata converting to what Storm is saying, because he's not fighting back, and he's not arguing with anything Storm is saying. He took that beating and didn't really do anything after. The language that Storm is using also about Sonata being a loser, Muta being a fraud, and by extension that makes Sonata a fraud. It really makes me wonder about whether Sonata is going to turn, because you've kind of seen it in his matches lately too, where he hits that moonsault and doesn't get the job done, and he starts getting pissed off and starts getting noticeably, it's weird, but he starts getting noticeably smug about, okay, this one is going to put him away. And his reactions to setbacks have been getting noticeably more frustrated, more angry, more heelish. So it really makes me wonder if we aren't going to see a heel Sonata soon, with Storm kind of being the devil on his shoulder.
So do you see it being a potential tag team, or Storm in a managerial role?
I kind of like the idea of Storm being Sonata's manager for this. I wouldn't say no to a tag team. Maybe on a one-off basis or for a very, very short run. I wouldn't expect it to be a long-term tag team.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely interesting. Live chat is going along the lines that we'll probably see. We'll probably see a Sonata versus Muta match. That makes sense. That sort of thing. I think it's just the James Storm bit that makes it awkward and confusing. Like, what role is Storm really playing, and is this where Storm should be? Like, it just doesn't. It seems weird for him to do it.
Yeah, I can see that. I do kind of like it because Storm has been taking on the role of stirring the pot, like just wherever he is getting in people's heads. Like with Gunner, with Anderson. Admittedly, with Anderson, it was more the other way around, where Anderson got in his head with the whole drinking game and the fake alcohol and whatnot. But the way Storm has been building his character, it seems like this is it might not be the most natural transition, but it doesn't seem completely out of left field either. It doesn't. I think it makes sense for him to just stir the pot wherever he can, and not as suffering setback after setback seems like kind of a natural target for him.
Yeah, and Blue Cacto in the live chat just reminded me, BFG is in Tokyo, so you do need Sonata involved in some capacity. Facing off against Muda, you've got basically the legend versus the apprentice kind of thing. I think that would be an amazing story. But still, the way they're getting to that is kind of odd. But still, I think that's probably the direction that they're going to go. And definitely not main event level, but it will be Japan's main event for sure.
Yeah, that being reminded of that makes me very excited to see a heel Sonata, especially if he follows Storm's rhetoric.
Right.
Storm is kind of tearing down the whole mentor system that they've got in Japanese wrestling. So if Sonata goes over there and he starts tearing down that whole system in his promos, that could get a lot of heel heat.
Totally. So Sonata, as we were talking about, did lose. Mostly, it seemed because of the frustration that he got after talking to James Storm. So Austin Aries won the Battle Royal. He is now your X Division champion. This upcoming Impact, he's going to have to make that decision of whether or not he's going to cash in. It seems obvious he's going to cash in, right? I mean that's where they're going to go.
I don't know. He's kind of he hasn't really committed one way or another.
No.
And I don't know if this is just me putting my own hopes on it or not, but it seems to me like he's going to refuse the cash in. Again, it might just be my personal want talking, but I really hope he doesn't cash it in. Because the X Division needs big names in it. It needs big names to defend that title, make it more relevant again. So, it's not to say that Sonata hasn't had a good run, but he just doesn't have that star power here in the States that Aries does. At least with TNA fans.
Yeah, no, you're right. Overall, I mean, I would love to see Aries continue to defend the X Division Championship. I think that would make the X Division feel important again because it really hasn't for a while. So you keep a guy there, and having Austin Aries not cash it in, I think would overall just give that division the credibility it desperately needs. Yeah, it doesn't seem like he's the one to go the obvious route every time. That's how we got option C to begin with. So yeah, overall, I'm with you on the thought process, and I like the idea that he doesn't cash in, but to me, he's cashing in. I mean, to be put back into the world title race, that seems to be what he has preached for so long, that he belongs in that main event, and he deserves that opportunity. So I don't see any other option here. This is it. Okay, so Lashley defeated Jeff Hardy. Potentially, we might see Lashley versus Austin Aries in a couple of weeks. So, what's your thoughts about Lashley as champion right now? He seems to be just steamrolling through everyone. Can anyone stop him, and who could be that guy?
I like the way Lashley's been handled thus far as the champion. He's got the image for it, and he's definitely pulling off the perception that he's just an unstoppable monster, that nobody can touch him. Not Eric Young, not Jeff Hardy. The way that the build is going with MVP is a big part of the reason why I don't think Aries will cash it in. and that's because I think Rude is going to be the guy to stop the role that Lashley's on and take the title away from him. And I don't think it'll be EY. EY seems to be slipping into more of the support role for Rude. And the fact that Rude has got a match with MVP for next week kind of solidifies my belief that he'll be the guy to do it. Because it has been a while since Rude has been champ. It's been a while since he's been in serious contention for the title. And he did extremely well with his run the last time around. So I don't see any reason why TNA wouldn't put their hopes on him again.
Sure. Joe, you want to jump in here?
I did, but then I said never mind. So, but I'll go with it anyway. I was thinking EY. I mean, I haven't been wholly following on the TNA front, but EY hasn't been back. Am I correct? Since essentially he lost it.
Yeah, he was on this week.
Yeah, he's still fighting, but he's not in the title race per se. He's more along the lines of, teaming with Bobby Roode to go after MVP and Kenny King, and they're still going towards the title, but they're going through MVP first.
Oh, well, then that shoots down my idea that EY was going to come back from whatever injury he had and win and be the guy who ends up dropping Lashley. So I'm an idiot, and you can move on.
Okay. On that note, let's jump into some Ask FTW. First of all, you can send your questions in through Twitter, through Google+. You can email us, questions@ftwpodcast.com. You can also post on the Facebook wall, Facebook page. We've got a little form at the bottom of our site. There's plenty of ways to get a hold of us. You guys always do. You can also post them in the live chat. But let's start from the top. At Radio Influence asked, can we take a moment to basically thank Batista for his stay? He put over Daniel Bryan and the entire Shield in 4 months of work. So who's ready to thank him? Go ahead, jump in.
I think
if you can take a step back from the awful work he was putting in the ring, Radio Influence isn't wrong. That is essentially what he did. If he'd done it solo, at least with Daniel Bryan, maybe that would be more obvious. But his work, his ring work, it was just so bad that it kind of overshadows that. So I respect the fact that the man was willing to come back and basically lie down for whoever he was up against, but I wish he'd done that a little better.
Yeah, Radio Influence is a really good point. He put over Daniel Bryan and the Shield, but those were two organizations that really didn't need his help. It wasn't like a Chris Jericho situation where he's plucking somebody out of the mid-card and making a main event. Daniel Bryan was already kind of over with the crowd, and Shield was pretty hot at the time when they feuded with Batista. So, while yes, Batista did put them over, it wasn't like we can thank Batista for, what we have right now with the Shield, or really with Daniel Bryan.
We could thank Batista, but, couldn't we, I don't know, also shoot ourselves in the head? Just because he put him over doesn't mean he did it willingly. To bring him back to do that, I don't think he was intending for that to happen. I don't want to thank him because I don't think he did anything other than look like a very terrible Power Ranger.
Now, to be fair, he has come out and said that he didn't want a singles run against Daniel Bryan because he said it didn't make sense for him to lose twice. But he did talk about how, I don't remember the exact wording, but it was clear from what he was saying that he didn't have a problem with it.
I mean, okay, maybe if he didn't have a problem with it, but still, I didn't want to see it. I didn't.
Oh no, I didn't either.
I'm not willing to thank him for coming back. I'd be willing to thank him for staying home.
Yeah, I mean, those things were happening with or without him. So he didn't really have an integral role in anything that was going on. It's just the fact that he wasn't vocally against it or that he was refusing to do so.
We are tap dancing a lot here, guys. Let's just admit it. We are really trying hard.
Let's just say this. Out of the guys who were the Return of Evolution, you could have replaced him with, I don't know,
anybody.
Sheamus.
Big Show.
Sheamus, Mark Henry.
Then Mark Henry could bring back Nation of Domination and Evolution.
You could have replaced him with Flair. I would have said Flair coming out of retirement for that was better than Batista.
Jesus, I don't think so.
That's a stretch, Joe, for sure. No, you know what? I think overall, seeing how things played out, I think Batista did well in helping put Daniel Bryan and Shield over. So
you're also the same guy who said you really enjoyed Randy Orton matches over the weekend.
I clarified that statement.
You did not clarify it until 24 hours later when you had time to think of a response.
Awesome.
This is what happens when Garv and I get together.
Okay. Well, but Batista, if Batista came in with the intention of helping these guys out, I would be totally cool with it. But it seems like there was so much drama involved with Batista coming in. I mean, that's when we lost Punk. That's when we booed Rey Mysterio so hard. Rey Mysterio, I don't think I've ever heard Rey Mysterio get booed like that ever before, and it's basically because of Batista.
Yeah.
You know, so I think overall, well, I'm sorry, it's not because of Batista. It's because of how Batista was being built at the time, and the story was not likable. It did not fit within our best interest, I think. So overall, like, yeah, looking back at it, you know, how they coped with the fact that no one wanted to see Batista there. Batista did well. You know, he did help people. After WWE decided, all right, this isn't going to work, let's push the people that should be pushed instead. But if WWE never let down, Batista wouldn't have helped anyone. So let's be honest here.
No
All right, let's move on, man. Deep on G Plus Est. You're probably going to talk about the rise of Roman Reigns. Yes, we did. It looks like he's going to be the next. You know, it looks like he's going to be the next top face of the company. Do you think Roman will be as polarizing of a figure like Cena is? And if so, how long before we start hearing "Let's go Roman, Roman sucks" chants?
It'll be a while because it'll be a change from Cena for one, and if he goes quite a while without you know being the Superman, I mean he's already got the punch. I'm okay with that. Because it's different, and he's got a different work style than Cena. I'm tired of Cena. I'm tired of the formula. I know Reigns has a bit of a formula to himself, but come on, it's different. He's a big guy that we can actually believe in being in the main event, as opposed to someone like the Big Show, who there's a reason he got the moniker of the Big Slow. Come on,
Nick?
I don't know about him being the next Cena. For that matter, I don't really know about him being the next top face. Really, I don't know if it'll be the next one. I see him getting up there, but I don't know. Cesaro might beat him to it, at least as far as fan reaction goes. I don't see him being the next Cena. I see him being the next Orton. Because he kind of gets that response that Orton kind of dominated for a while. Is very popular, especially with the ladies, like
Right.
Orton was.
Right.
Well,
And he
Still
kind of there's kind of a physical resemblance there in his style and his look. The dark brooding guy, and he has a few very popular moves that he uses prevalently. And it's like with a Superman punch, the spear. it kind of works the same way as the RKO. You can basically hit those out of anywhere. So I don't really see Roman falling into the same pit that Cena has.
Well, Cena's in a, I don't know, Cena's not really a pit so much as on a pedestal. I mean, it's very clear that the guy is, I mean, yeah, without debating the merits or faults of Cena, I think Roman Reigns is a different type of character and a different type of worker too. Roman doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who can walk out in the middle of a crowd and even if 80% of the crowd is hostile to him, still get them riled up and ready for a show. I can't see Roman making that bridge. And so for that reason, I don't see WWE relying on Roman Reigns as heavily as they do John Cena. I mean, John Cena has the clean-cut Boy Scout look. Roman Reigns doesn't. I don't really see many, actually, in the WWE that could step into Cena's shoes with such that kind of like family-friendly, here we go, kids, let's have some fun tonight type of attitude. Roman's very clearly skewing more towards the older crowd, and for that reason, I don't see the let's go Roman sucks chance.
Yeah, I don't. I also don't see him being as polarizing. But we're also, like you said, Nick, we're skipping some people. Another name that we're skipping, Daniel Bryan. There's still potential that Daniel Bryan will come back, and he still has that ability to be the next top face. He's not the next Cena. I don't think we keep having like similar discussions where we're like, oh, this is gonna be the next this guy. This is this guy 2.0, and I don't think we can compare everyone to that. So Roman Reigns, no, I don't think he fits that mold that Cena has. So he can't be the next Cena, but he can potentially be the next top guy for sure. But
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to have a polarizing character like Cena for a while. It took forever for us to have a polarizing character after Hogan. I mean, Rock did it for a little bit, but
yeah.
Other than that, who else has been polarizing like that? I can't think of anyone.
Yeah, there really hasn't been anybody. And Daniel Bryan isn't going to be that kind of guy either. He's always going to be like the indie darling. And he's kind of already made it, too, to top guy status.
Okay. Well, speaking of Daniel Bryan, we got a question from Chris M. on G+. He asked, will Daniel Bryan ever be the same again? What do you guys think? Joe?
No, everybody always changes. Will he have the fan support? Sure. Will he wrestle the same? Probably not. He'll probably change things. Every guy learns some new moves, and with injuries, changes up their style a little bit. He's going to be different.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised if he ever brought back the flying headbutt, given why he's been out lately. But other than that, yeah, I don't really see him taking much of a hit in crowd reaction when he does come back. If anything, the crowd reaction will be louder. So, I mean, absence makes the heart go fonder and all that.
Yeah.
So
it's gonna be insane.
Yep. Overall, he's not gonna get hurt by this.
Yeah, he's not. The only worry would be if something should happen and they find out that he can't wrestle. And then we have sort of like an Edge situation where the guy is taken before his time. Well, not taken before his time, but retires before his time.
I thought you were meaning he can't wrestle like Kali.
Or that too, yeah.
Oh my God, we didn't realize.
Daniel Bryan's gonna come back twice as tall and twice as chunky.
They just put, you know what they're gonna do? They just throw a blonde wig and a beard on Kali and be like, all right, look, just get out there. I'm pretty sure no one will figure it out.
Well,
just wrestle on your knees. It'll be fine.
Well, because the medical industry hasn't evolved since the medieval times, they're still putting people on those stretcher devices, big bone injuries.
Yeah.
They take him to the hut in the village, and he keeps telling him, no, he's mostly dead. See, not all dead. They hook him up to the machine and try and put his life back in. which means to bluff. Clearly, you know. Oh God, now I want to watch that movie again. All right.
Someone just did a whole bunch of Lego designs for the movie, like Lego set designs.
Seriously, from Princess Bride?
Yeah,
Awesome.
fan made, but I'll send it to you.
Still. Some of those are pretty good. No, I don't think it's gonna be the same. I'm worried that he's not coming back. And I don't want to play that card. And I know things are still very much in flux, but in the back of my head, when he came out and did that promo and said, you know, the doctor said it was worse than we thought, that's never a good sign. That's never a, oh, well, it's okay. They're just being cautious. That's a, well, you better get your real estate license because you're not going to be wrestling anymore.
Not to throw credence into that, but was it Brie or Nikki who recently was like featured on WWE.com for realty?
Oh, that's Nikki.
Okay. That's too weird. Okay. Anyways,
I went to lunch today at work, and we were just commenting all the billboards that had real estate, that had realtors on it. So that's just why it stuck in my head. I had no idea about the real estate listing. That's awesome.
That's funny. Yeah. So as far as the question goes, he'll get the same reaction. He probably will be placed back in the same spot if he can wrestle. But that's the thing. Can he wrestle? Is he going to be the next Edge where he's going to, the next time we see him, it's a full-on retirement? I have that fear as well. If he is returning to wrestle, he's changing his moveset. He's not going to be as quick in the ring, only because he doesn't need to do as much as he was doing before. Like he's definitely not going to be doing the suicide dives anymore. His main finishers are going to have to change as far as the flying headbutt goes. So yeah, I mean there's a bunch of things that will have to change, but as far as Daniel Bryan goes, as a wrestler, as a character, I think he can be the same, minus a few alterations here or there. We might see a more technical Daniel Bryan, which I think would be awesome.
Yeah, he'd probably return back to the yes lock.
Yeah. Okay, so Chris P. emailed questions at FTW Podcast, and he asked, "Hey guys, with The Rock in talks to return again, what feud would you want to see him in?" And just to preface this, Rock did an interview recently, I forget where or why, some kind of movie thing, and then they talked about him potentially coming back for another match, and he said he was into it. He was interested in doing it. So it's all talk. There's no Wrestling Observer rumor going around. I think it's just basically that interview. But still, if Rock is to return, what feud would you want to see him in? Joe.
Rock versus Ziggler. Because Rock really needs someone who can sell for him, and nobody sells better than Ziggler.
Okay. Nick?
Rock versus Vacant.
Ooh.
Ooh.
You've never seen that match on TV, and I am just fine with that.
Harrison?
Oh man, I really have no idea. I mean, it's got to be a huge name. Well, I guess Rock versus Lesnar. I mean, I don't know. For some reason, in the back of my head, that feels stupid, but why not?
Yeah, Rock actually revealed, maybe in the same interview, that he was actually supposed to feud with Brock Lesnar. However, he got injured.
I am the wrestling whisperer. Look at me go.
So yeah, I think Brock would be probably the feud that they would go in. But yeah, I wouldn't want to see. I don't want to see The Rock return at all. I have disliked everything that he's done since he has come back, whether it's Cena or Punk, and I think this is. Yeah, I don't want to see it. However, there was one match thrown out by Lou in the live chat which I would pay to see. Brahma Bull, right? versus the actual Bull Torito. Come on.
Okay, I would want to see that match.
The Brahma Bull versus Barack Obama. That would be interesting. I don't know. Political!
All right, well, that's all we got, I think. Let's jump into win-fail. All right, Joe, what is your win of the week?
The continuation of the Goldust Stardust promos on Raw. It's really they're really working hard to build up the weirdness between Goldust and Stardust. Just, everyone knew Goldust was the weird one. He was always weird, and he's almost getting knocked off his pedestal by Stardust, and the fighting between the two of them in the promos is I find to be very entertaining, and I love them getting in the ring together, so I'm going to go with that.
Harrison?
Battleground, setting up SummerSlam pretty well. It was one thing we noticed last week when we were leading up to it. We were looking at the card and saying it looked like a decent card, but it doesn't look like the end of anything, and then we kind of all agreed that as far as how it looked, and if it did shake out that way, it could be a pretty spectacular way to set up SummerSlam, and it looks like it has. There's a lot of things going on there that, Ambrose and Rollins really took a interesting turn. Jericho and Bray Wyatt. I had internet connection, so I know you guys discussed this a little bit, but I think Jericho and Wyatt is going to be huge at SummerSlam. I think the fact that Jericho won at Battleground is just such an excellent thing for that feud. But yeah, that's my win, and how well Battleground set up SummerSlam, and giving Battleground away for free if you did the trial thing on the app is pretty spectacular to get you to kind of tune in for Battleground or to tune in for SummerSlam.
Actually, that wasn't true, right, Nick?
That was completely false.
It was?
Yeah.
I thought if you did the trial, it worked out that way.
It didn't include
That's what I thought too, but I tried to do that, and that didn't happen.
Oh, okay. All right, never mind. Back that up just that little bit, but still, Battleground is my win. Just not that part, which apparently didn't happen. Such is life.
That part was a gigantic fail.
Nick, your win?
My win is also the Rhodes Brothers, but specifically one part of it. The promo on Raw, where Goldust and Stardust essentially played the part of Smeagol to the tag titles Cosmic Key / Precious. Just the way they were just lusting after the Cosmic Key. It was absolutely brilliant, and I love the callback to Gollum. I am just a huge Lord of the Rings fan.
As Steve and Joe brought up, it seemed to be more of a reference to the Masters of the Universe movie with Dolph Lundgren as He-Man. Because they were always looking for the master key that would open the portal. No? Okay.
I didn't.
I was right there with you.
What you're talking about.
Yeah, I keep forgetting that I'm old. You even know who He-Man is?
Oh
no,
man.
I know who He-Man is, but I saw the bits and pieces of the cartoon. I never saw the movie.
Real quick, has anyone watched back any of the original He-Man series?
My parents
recently.
bought me a DVD set of the top 10 episodes.
Yeah.
And so I created a drinking game for it, where every time they said He-Man, you have to drink. Now, here's the problem with that. You either have to do the dialogue in the cartoon or the background singers.
Yeah.
Because when it goes, He-Man, 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 and just repeats, and it's like, oh my God, you're just constantly drinking. 2 games of that will destroy a liver.
Yeah, overall, that's a funny series to watch back.
It's like crazy homoerotic, right? That's what I read.
There's parts of it,
well,
yeah.
the thing that gets me is, they made the cartoon because they made the toys. It wasn't like conjunction. It was like, hey, we need to sell this toy. Put this in an episode.
Well, that's what Transformers was. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
I thought Transformers came out as a comic book before. I don't know. I was never a Transformers fan as a kid, so that's where I'm coming from on that. I know a lot of people consider that
No, I
the fail
wasn't.
of the week.
No, I wasn't either. Okay, cool. So some wins from the live chat. Obviously, Goldust and Stardust. I think that was pretty much everyone's win of the week. Rusev and Swagger, Bray Wyatt on Raw. I'm gonna, as far as mine goes, I think the way that a lot of the stories moved forward this week on Raw was fantastic. Whether that's Paige versus AJ, or that's the whole Stephanie McMahon getting arrested. I think they moved forward so well with a lot of different things. Yeah, it was a really good episode of Raw. So sure, you've got the Kali match, you've got that opener. That opener was pretty weak, but overall, I really liked Raw. So, all right, let's go into fails. Fails of the week, Joe. What's your fail?
My fail of the week, besides myself, God, I've been terrible this show.
No arguments here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go with myself. Dan Harrison's internet. Fuck it.
Damn.
Harrison, your fail?
My fail is, so Triple H at the top of Raw made fun of like wrestling fans, was saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go on, I'm gonna post on Facebook, I'm gonna tweet, I'm gonna make a Vine, I'm gonna post on Instagram." No mention of Tout. Everybody remember Tout?
Yep.
No mention of it. He didn't say. I'm like,
Well, that's because WWE invested in that one.
yeah,
I
and
want to knock that one.
yeah, and it's not around anymore, and that's the joke. So awesome.
I think WWE just wants to make everybody forget that was a thing.
Yeah, I think so too. It's not quite the way of the XFL, but it's pretty quickly heading there. So yeah. Anyway, I was just like, when he went on about it, I'm like, man, $500 if he says tout. Never did. I mean, that's like the ultimate troll. If you can just get a sign that says tout this at, and then just take. I'm sorry. I just think that would be the best if someone could get that sign on air.
Nick, your fail?
I don't really like the way they're handling Fandango. It's nice to see Summer and Layla just. It's nice to see them in a positive spotlight, and it's even nicer to see Zack Ryder get a win because of it. But if I'd much rather they just ditch the Fandango character, because that's what it looks like it's going to happen. They're just going to take him off TV. If you're going to do that, just scrap the downward spiral now and repackage him. Make him Johnny Curtis again, because he was actually. It looked like he was actually going somewhere. He had something going for him then. So, I don't get why they just have to keep dragging things out like this.
The major fail from the live chat, which I echo, is the whole Florida thing. A,
Yes.
Heath
how did I
Slater
not
should have
think
got over on him, and B, that whole singing thing should not have gone on for so long. I was experimenting, as you guys knew from last week. I was going to experiment with not watching, watching Raw without commentary and sound at all during matches. The thing was that was really kind of throwing me off, because I would have to turn the sound up as soon as the match ended, just to kind of get an idea of what was going on in the overall story. This I kept on because I wasn't sure when it was going to end, so I just had it on in the background, completely forgot what I was watching, and yeah, it totally destroyed like the flow of the show at the time. Luckily, everything else that happened after that was pretty amazing. So, but yeah, that's definitely my fail of the week. Final
I
thoughts.
don't understand why
go ahead.
I don't understand why Flo Rida was a thing last night, because they also pimped out Jericho's new album with Fozzy. Why couldn't they have had him do something? Like, they've got an actual rock star on the roster.
Whoa,
Why
whoa,
you got the
whoa,
on the
whoa.
outside?
Let's back up here a little bit. Yeah, I like Jericho as much as anybody else. Fozzy is not that big.
Fozzy is on
he would-
cards with Judas Priest and Iron Maiden.
Yeah,
think
you'd be surprised. They're actually up there though.
Yeah, they're
Um,
in the metal realm. They are
Yeah.
getting bigger.
Well, okay. Well, this is gonna.
It's not your cup of tea. It's not my cup of tea either, but people do like it a lot. So.
Okay. I retract. Consider retracted. I was wrong.
Also, the reason why you couldn't use Jericho in that spot was because this is breaking the fourth wall, but Jericho actually wasn't there at Raw.
How'd they record that segment?
He was in California. That was recorded at Battleground. Spoilers.
Wizardry.
But yeah.
That would have been great. I was just thinking.
Yet another example of how they're mishandling Jericho versus Wyatt.
They're time shifting it.
I don't know. I mean, if you want to talk about a pre-tape segment, I mean, you could always look at TNA. I mean, they pre-tape. They a month and a half of shows. Damn it.
All right, if you can't use Jericho instead of Flo Rida, you can at least use the one-man band.
True. Well, and they teased that they were going to do that, but instead, Heath Slater got knocked down again. Oh well. All right, final thoughts. What's your final thoughts for the night?
Screw you, Comcast.
Yeah, that works.
Hey! I'd call I'd call it a cancel, but I don't want to have to be on the phone for 45 minutes and then end up internet famous.
They will take your deposit, even if you don't have one.
Fantastic. That just makes me feel so much better about being hardcore into the free market. This is so fucked up.
Final thought, more good wrestling, less shitty music that's about getting your dick sucked.
There's nothing wrong with getting your dick sucked.
Just talking about it and selling albums about
when you're showcasing that song.
But that's the only thing I don't like about a lot of hip hop. It's like, okay, give me money so I can tell you how awesome it is to have money.
I just find it amazing that the WWE management, all the way up to Kevin Dunn, loves the song Whistle and talk about it nonstop, hyping up Flo Rida as a guest star, but they have no idea what it's about. Like, I forget the exact handle of the guy, but Mets Fan Forever or something like that on Reddit, he was talking about how Kevin Dunn would just sing that all day backstage. He has no clue.
Yeah, I don't know. We can get into the hip hop discussion later, but I agree. I'm with you.
Bear in mind that I enjoy Crime Time, so and MVP.
Dude, what if they brought Crime Time back for NOD?
I think that ship has sailed. They held on for JTG for 7 years without doing a thing there.
All right. My final thoughts. I'm going to continue doing the Raw without sound for matches. So I did tweet a little bit about it last night, and yeah, overall I thought I enjoyed the matches a bit more outside of the opening contest and the Divas handicap match. Other than that, I think I liked pretty much every match that happened. So yeah, overall. So, and that's the show. Go check out FTWpodcast.com for more information about us and how to get involved in the future. You can join us live each and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern on FTWlive.com. For myself, Joe, Nick, Harrison, everyone in the live chat, we will see you next Tuesday. Goodbye.
Peace in the Middle East.